Bills Mafia. It's time to sit up and pay attention, because what once sounded like just another whisper in the NFL rumor mill has now turned into something very real. Trey Hendrickson, the sack machine of Cincinnati, could actually be on the move, and Buffalo is right in the conversation. This isn't just smoke, this is fire. And when there's fire in the NFL rumor world, you better believe there's a chance it becomes a blaze. The thought of a player like Hendrickson joining our defense has the whole league buzzing, and Bills fans everywhere should be thinking long and hard about what this would mean for the future of this team. Let's take a step back and really talk about who Trey Hendrickson is. For those who haven't followed him closely, Hendrickson is not just another defensive end. He's one of the premier pass rushers in the entire NFL. Last season, he racked up 17.5 sacks, tying for the league lead. And in the last 3 years combined, he's put together some of the most consistent and dominant edge rushing seasons we've seen. This is a guy who makes offensive coordinators lose sleep. You can scheme protections all week, you can slide help his way, and he still finds a way to collapse pockets and blow up plays. He has earned Pro Bowl honors, he has hit All-Pro status, and his reputation as one of the league's most relentless workers precedes him. That's not just talent. That's the kind of motor you build a defense around. Now, why is his name even out there? Why would the Bengals even consider moving a player of his caliber? Well, the situation in Cincinnati has gotten complicated. Hendrickson requested a trade earlier in the offseason, and while at first it felt like posturing, the reports now say the Bengals are at least listening to offers. They have over $30 million in cap space, but with Joe Burrow's sidelined for a big stretch of the season, there's a sense that maybe, just maybe, Cincinnati could cash in on Hendrickson while he still has peak value. And that opens the door for teams like Buffalo. If the Bengals feel their competitive window has shifted, they might be willing to make a move. And for the Bills, who are still fully in win-now mode, this is the kind of rare opportunity that doesn't come around often. Think about it from the Bills' perspective. This defense has long been about grit, discipline, and versatility. But if we're being honest, one thing has held them back in January: consistent, game-wrecking pass rush off the edge. Von Miller brought flashes of it, but at his age and with injuries piling up, he isn't the every-down force he used to be. Gregory Rousseau has shown promise, but he's not there yet. And when you go up against the best in the AFC, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow when healthy, you need pressure. Not just pressure here and there, but relentless, drive-crushing, quarterback-harassing heat. Hendrickson is exactly that. Imagine this for a moment. It's late in the fourth quarter, playoff football in Buffalo, snow swirling, the energy in Highmark Stadium electric. The opposing offense faces a 3rd and 8, they've got a pass, and here comes Trey Hendrickson screaming off the edge with Von Miller on the other side and Ed Oliver pushing up the middle. The quarterback doesn't stand a chance. That's not just fantasy, that's the kind of reality Hendrickson could bring to the Bills' defense. And in games decided by razor-thin margins, that one sack, that one forced fumble, that one play could be the difference between heartbreak and advancing to the next round. Of course, there are questions. Hendrickson isn't cheap. He's 30 years old, he just signed a revised one-year deal with Cincinnati worth $30 million, and he'll want security beyond that. For Buffalo to make this happen, it would take creativity with the cap space and probably some serious draft capital going the other way. A first-round pick, maybe a second, maybe even a player plus picks. These are the kind of discussions happening behind closed doors. And some fans will say it's too much, that the Bills can't mortgage the future. But here's the truth. The window is now. Josh Allen is in his prime. The roster is loaded with talent. The AFC is brutal, and every edge you can create might be the one that pushes you over the top. Waiting for the perfect scenario rarely works in this league. Sometimes you have to swing. And here's the beautiful part. Hendrickson fits Buffalo's culture. He's a grinder, a hard-nosed, no-nonsense player who thrives on intensity. That's exactly what Sean McDermott and this fan base love. He isn't flashy off the field, but on it, he's all fire. Pair that with Bills Mafia, the most passionate fan base in the NFL, and you've got a match made in football heaven. Can you imagine Hendrickson slamming a quarterback to the turf, leaping up and firing up the crowd in Orchard Park? That image alone is worth the trade talks. So, what's the verdict? For me, it's clear. Buffalo should absolutely explore this move. Yes, the cost will be high. Yes, the cap gymnastics will be tricky. But this is the type of bold, statement-making trade that contenders make when they're serious about a Lombardi. Trey Hendrickson isn't just another player. He's a difference maker. And in the league where inches decide fates, difference makers are priceless. If the Bills want to send a message to the rest of the AFC that they're done waiting and ready to take it all, this is the move that says it. Bills Mafia, the floor is yours. What do you think? Should the Bills push all in for Trey Hendrickson? Is this the missing piece to take Buffalo over the top? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you're ready to see Hendrickson in Bills blue, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a single twist in this story. Because trust me, this saga is only heating up.
Bills Mafia, let's really dive into it now. It's one thing to say, hey, Trey Hendrickson would look good in Buffalo. It's another to actually break down how he fits into this roster, this scheme, and this moment in Bills history. Because here's the truth, not every star pass rusher would make sense in this system, but Hendrickson, he fits like a glove, and the more you look at it, the clearer it gets. First, let's talk scheme. Under Sean McDermott, the Bills' defense has always been about flexibility and discipline. It's not just about sending the house on every down. It's about disguising coverages, mixing pressures, and forcing quarterbacks into mistakes. Buffalo doesn't rely on one superstar to do it all. It's about collective execution. That's exactly why Hendrickson is perfect here. He doesn't need constant blitzes to shine. He wins one-on-one, he sets the edge against the run, and he creates chaos by sheer relentlessness. He's not the kind of player who demands the defense revolve around him, but he makes everyone around him better by drawing attention and freeing up his teammates. Now, imagine him next to Von Miller, even at this stage of Miller's career. You've got a future Hall of Famer who can still bring veteran savvy and situational explosiveness paired with Hendrickson's consistent motor. That's thunder and lightning off the edge. Then add Gregory Rousseau, the young gun who's still growing into his frame and skill set. Put those three in rotation, and suddenly the Bills' edge rush isn't just good, it's one of the most dangerous in the league. And don't forget the interior. Ed Oliver is coming off one of his best seasons, Daquan Jones is a rock in the middle, and now you'd have Hendrickson collapsing pockets from the outside while those guys push from the inside. Quarterbacks wouldn't have anywhere to run. Contain? Check. Collapse? Check. Game over. But let's back this up with numbers. Last year, the Bills ranked in the top 10 in team sacks, but there was still a problem. The consistency just wasn't there in the biggest games. In the divisional round loss to Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes had far too much time on key drives. We all know it. Those few extra seconds he got to extend plays ended Buffalo's season. Now look at Hendrickson. He averaged nearly a sack per game in 2024 with multiple multi-sack performances against playoff-level teams. Against the Ravens, he was all over Lamar Jackson. Against the Browns, he wrecked their protection. That's what Buffalo has been missing. A guy who, in the highest pressure moments, still finds a way to get home. Think about how much easier this would make life for the secondary, too. Tre'Davious White, when healthy, is a lockdown corner. Christian Benford is improving. The safeties are adjusting post Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. But with less time for quarterbacks to scan the field, those defensive backs don't need to cover for 5 or 6 seconds. With Hendrickson, quarterbacks have maybe 3 seconds before the walls close in. That's how turnovers happen. That's how momentum swings. That's how you win playoff games. And don't underestimate the cultural fit. Hendrickson plays angry. He's got that relentless chip on his shoulder energy that Buffalo loves. This is a city built on toughness, resilience, and grit. You can't fake that, and Hendrickson has it in spades. Every snap looks like it's personal for him. That's the same DNA that Bills Mafia brings every Sunday in the stands, through snow, through freezing wind, through heartbreak and triumph. He wouldn't just fit the roster, he'd fit the identity of Buffalo football. Let's also compare Buffalo to the rest of the AFC. The Chiefs have Chris Jones, a game wrecker inside. The Ravens have a deep rotation of young, athletic pass rushers. The Jets have Quinnen Williams and a ferocious defensive line. The Dolphins have Bradley Chubb and Jael Phillips when healthy. To hang with these teams, Buffalo needs more than just good. They need elite. Hendrickson is elite. He tilts the balance. Suddenly, Buffalo's defensive line isn't just competitive, it's terrifying. And in a conference where the smallest defensive edge can be the difference, that matters more than anything. Financially, yes, it's tricky. Hendrickson's cap hit isn't light, and Brandon Beane would have to work some magic, restructuring deals, shifting bonuses, maybe even moving a piece. But let's remember, Beane has pulled off this type of maneuver before. He's retooled this roster time and again to keep Buffalo in the fight. If he sees Hendrickson as the missing piece, you better believe he can find a way to make the numbers work. And as fans, isn't that what we've been asking for? To stop playing it safe and go get that one more star who can push us over the hump? Here's another point. Hendrickson isn't a locker room risk. He's known as a quiet, hard worker. He isn't a diva. He doesn't bring drama. The only headlines he makes are for flattening quarterbacks. And in a locker room led by Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, if he stays calm this year, and guys like Von Miller, Hendrickson would slide right in. No culture shock, no adjustment problems. Just business, just football, just impact. Picture this. Week 13, prime time. Bills hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. Lights bright, the whole country watching. Mahomes takes the snap, looks left, and before he can even set his feet, Hendrickson beats the tackle off the edge, flushes him right into Ed Oliver's arms, sack, drive over. The stadium erupts, Bills Mafia shakes the earth, and the message is clear. Buffalo is done being second place. That's the kind of moment Hendrickson delivers. So let's be honest. Does he make Buffalo better? Absolutely. Does he fit the scheme? Perfectly. Does he raise the ceiling of this defense? Without a doubt. This is one of those rare opportunities where a player's skill set, personality, and timing all line up with the team's greatest need. And for Buffalo, it could be the difference between another year of almost and finally breaking through. Bills Mafia, I need to know, do you see it the way I do? Can you feel the fit? Can you see Hendrickson in Bills blue, wrecking backfields, changing games, and helping us chase down that elusive Lombardi? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if you're riding with this vision, and make sure you're subscribed because the Hendrickson story is just getting started. And if this dream becomes reality, trust me, we'll be here to celebrate every single sack together.
Bills Mafia, here we are. We've talked about who Trey Hendrickson is. We've broken down how he fits into Buffalo's defense, and now it's time to look at the bigger picture. The dream, the risk, and the reward. Because if this move happens, it's not just another trade, it's a declaration. It's Buffalo standing up and saying to the entire NFL, we are done waiting, we are done coming close, and we are ready to take what we've earned. Let's start with the dream. Picture January football in Orchard Park. The snow is swirling, the breath of every fan visible in the cold night air. The stands are shaking with the sound of Bills Mafia, a wall of noise no visiting quarterback can handle. On the field, Josh Allen has done his part, launching rockets, bulldozing linebackers, willing the offense forward. But this time, the defense seals the deal. It's Trey Hendrickson on the edge, hungry, relentless, bringing down Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, or maybe even Joe Burrow in the biggest moments of the season. That sack, that forced fumble, that energy, that's the difference between almost and finally. That's the moment Bills fans have been waiting their whole lives for. Hendrickson could be the man who delivers it. But of course, no dream comes without risk. Hendrickson is 30. He's at the peak of his powers right now, but we know how quickly things can change in this league. Injuries, decline, cap space headaches, these are the shadows that follow every big move. If the Bills trade for him, they're going all in. And once you go all in, there's no turning back. Draft picks, gone. Flexibility, reduced. The front office would have to commit fully to winning in the next 2 to 3 years. And some fans will say, is it worth it? What if it backfires? But here's the counterpoint. What if it works? What if Hendrickson is the final piece?
What if he's the guy who tips the balance and helps bring that Lombardi to Buffalo? That's the beauty and the terror of it all. Greatness always comes with risk. Now let's talk about the reward. Look around the AFC. Patrick Mahomes is still king until proven otherwise. The Ravens are rising with Lamar and that defense. The Bengals, when healthy, are as dangerous as anyone. The Jets, Dolphins, Jaguars, all loaded with talent. This conference is a gauntlet. The Bills have been in the mix every single year, but what has been the common thread in the heartbreak? The defense running out of gas. Too much time for Mahomes in overtime. Too much space for receivers to break free. A lack of that one player who could close the show. Hendrickson is that closer. He's Mariano Rivera in the fourth quarter, the guy who slams the door shut and says, "Not today." That's the reward. Not just competing, but finishing. Not just knocking on the door, but kicking it down. And let's not overlook what this would mean for the culture of Buffalo. This city is tough, proud, loyal. Bills Mafia doesn't just want stars, they want warriors. They want players who bleed on every down, who fight for every inch, who embody the same grit the fans bring in the freezing cold week after week. Trey Hendrickson is exactly that. He doesn't need headlines. He doesn't need flash. He just needs a helmet, a set of pads, and a quarterback to hunt. That's Buffalo football. That's who we are. And that's why the thought of Hendrickson in Bills blue feels so right. Let me paint the final picture for you. It's the AFC Championship, Buffalo versus Kansas City. Fourth quarter, 2 minutes left, Chiefs driving, down by 4. The entire season, the entire dream comes down to this drive. Mahomes takes the snap, steps back, and there's Hendrickson tearing around the edge like his life depends on it. He reaches out, strips the ball, chaos erupts, and the Bills recover. The stadium explodes, fans cry tears of joy, and for the first time in franchise history, Buffalo punches its ticket to the Super Bowl by slamming the door shut on the very team that has haunted them for years. That's not just a dream, that's a vision. That's the potential reward of this move, and that's why it matters. Bills Mafia, this is where you come in. Do you want to see the front office swing for the fences? Do you believe the risk is worth the reward? Can you see Hendrickson not just as a piece, but as the piece? Because if this trade happens, it won't just be about adding a player. It will be about changing the narrative. For too long, Buffalo has been the team that gets close. Hendrickson could help rewrite that story. And the ending we've all been waiting for, it's right there, within reach. So let's make it clear. Let's send the message. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should the Bills go all in for Trey Hendrickson? Hit that like button if you're ready to see him terrorizing quarterbacks in Buffalo blue. And smash that subscribe so you don't miss a single update as this story unfolds. Because whether this trade happens tomorrow, next week, or never at all, one thing is certain. This is the kind of bold conversation a true contender has. And make no mistake, the Buffalo Bills are contenders. With Trey Hendrickson, they just might be champions.